Great.
So, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is it all right if we record you, or?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to
Hi, I'm
have him
Kristen.
sitting or?
We can sit, it's up to you.
Okay, let's see if we just did another interview here. Hi.
Hi, I'm Kristen Muzzy. I'm friend and I'm David's aunt.
That's great.
Yeah,
And
nice
where
to
do
meet
guys
you.
from?
Colorado.
What part?
Centennial Beach from Denver.
Yes, I am from Denver. You are the Secretary of Utah, right?
I'm a senator.
The
That
Senator
sounds
of
good.
Utah?
Yeah.
The Senator of Utah?
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Salt Lake City.
Were you really? That's great. Well, that's very impressive. I was actually born in Arizona, but I moved to Utah when I was only 8-year-old. I didn't get to choose where I was born, but you know, I like to think I influenced my parents to move to Utah when I was only 8 years old.
Well, I'm gonna put this on recording.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, that's right. You're already an
Do you
eagle.
mind if I go this way? So-
You gonna get your eagle someday?
Yep, I definitely am. I have to earn all those badges.
I
don't
used
have
to
to
love
do all of
badges.
them. I think you only have to learn 18, I believe.
Your Boy Scout Scouts?
I was just telling my eldest is Lilo 2, crossing over into Boy Scouts this year.
Yeah, he's, well, you do have to earn all the badges in order to become an Eagle Scout.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not all of them.
anyways.
Okay, David, you gotta be quiet now, okay?
So thank you for taking your time with me today.
You bet.
It's working. Is it recording? Awesome. So, see, we do that to sync stuff up. We're gonna do some editing to it, I guess, to make sure it sounds right. So, first question. Last month, you met with President-elect Trump, and some of the things you discussed with him were the Supreme Court repealing and replacing Obamacare and the RINES Act. For the benefit of our readers, can you give us a synopsis of what the RINES Act is and what the chances are of it being passed once reintroduced, especially now that there is a Republican House, Senate, and President?
I'd be happy to talk about that. The REINS Act, it's an acronym. The letters are REINS. It stands for Regulations from the Executive in Need of Scrutiny. There is a problem in Washington in that we've got two parts of our Constitution that often get overlooked. There's these two structural protections that are very, very important. They're important in protecting all the other rights in the Constitution. They limit power. As our founding fathers understood, there was a risk in allowing any one group of people or any one person to get too powerful. There's a vertical protection called federalism, which says that most of the power is supposed to remain with the people. There's a horizontal protection called separation of powers. It says within the federal government, we're going to have three branches. The legislative branch, Congress, that makes the laws. The executive branch, headed by the president, that enforces the laws. And the judicial branch, headed by the Supreme Court, that interprets the laws. We've drifted from both of these protections in that things that used to be reserved to the people to exercise at the state and local level have been moved to Washington, moved to the federal government. Too many of them, in fact, to the point that the federal government's gotten really, really big, far bigger and more powerful than it was supposed to be. And this makes people less powerful at a local level, and that's a problem. But then within the federal government, we've compounded the problem by giving up too much of the lawmaking power, the policy setting power, the power to decide what the law should be, over to the executive branch, to what we call executive branch agencies or bureaucrats. Instead of making a law, for example, that decides how we're going to clean up the air, Congress will sometimes pass a law that says we shall have clean air, and we give the power to decide what that means, and to make law making our air cleaner over to the Environmental Protection Agency. So all of a sudden the EPA becomes both a lawmaker and a law enforcer. The REINS Act, in a nutshell, would help to reverse some of these trends and help to restore the balance of power between the three branches of government by saying every time a new law, a new regulation comes out of an executive branch agency, if it's one that would affect people in a significant economic way, it would have to be passed into law by Congress first. An executive branch agency just can't make that on its own.
Awesome. For my second question, One of the first things tackled by Congress will be replacing and repealing Obamacare. So, President-elect Trump wants to keep the pre-existing conditions provision, as well as the provision allowing young adults to stay on their parents' insurance until the age of 26. Will this even be possible?
With regard to the provision dealing with 26-year-olds, this has been a fairly popular provision. And a few years ago, many, if not all, of our nation's leading insurance carriers said, because of the popularity of it, they'd be happy to keep that intact, regardless of whether the law continued to mandate it. And so that's something that's got to be taken into account. And you know, the other question dealing with the pre-existing condition is going to have to be considered, and I think one of the things that we're going to look for is to look back at what previous laws prior to Obamacare said, figure out how we can streamline those and make them work so that people who need insurance can gain access to it. We've had provisions in the law that in some circumstances guaranteed that people could continue to get certain types of health insurance if they could show that they had had health insurance already and that they didn't have a lapse in coverage lasting more than 30 days. If we could look at that provision, figure out where it worked and where it didn't work, we might be able to make adjustments to that to make sure that people who need insurance, who want insurance, can continue to get it, even if they deal with significant health conditions.
So you've just been reelected to a second term as senator for the great state of Utah. Your name has been mentioned as a possible Supreme Court nominee. If President-elect Trump wanted to appoint you to a seat on the Supreme Court, is there any possibility that you would accept the position and leave your Senate seat?
Yes, if President-elect Trump asked me to do that, of course. I don't know that that'll happen. I'm on a list of 21 people who the President-elect is looking at. Is a list of people he might name to the Supreme Court. My brother, interestingly enough, is also on the list. We're both Eagle Scouts, by the way. We'd both be interested in that. We're both honored to be considered. We're not sure where it's going to happen, where it's going to go, or who's going to get it.
Now, kind of already explained yourself, but why, I guess? Why would you want to also be in the Supreme Court if you, why would you want to be a Supreme Court nominee if mentioned, other reasons for why, I guess?
Yeah.
If you had any.
The Supreme Court makes a lot of important decisions. Before I was a senator, I was a lawyer. Before I was a lawyer, I was a Boy Scout. Before I was a Boy Scout, I was a fan of the Supreme Court. I started watching Supreme Court arguments when I was about 10 years old. I've always thought it was interesting. And so I don't know if there's an easy explanation for why. It's just it makes sense to me. If he asked me, of course, that's something I would do.
And Senator Cruz and Representative DeSantis plan on introducing a bill in the coming days instituting 3-term limits for the House and 2-term limits for the Senate. Since you are beginning your second term, this bill would make this term your last, if passed. Knowing this, will you support the bill, and if so, why?
I do support the bill. I support constitutional term limits because I think it's important to protect the American people against the excessive accumulation of power in the hands of a few. You don't want members of Congress, members of the House and Senate going to Washington and coming back and distorting the outcome of elections by saying, yeah, you can vote for whoever you want, but don't you dare vote for anyone other than me, because if you do, you're going to lose money and power and influence that you can gain only if you reelect me.
Well, on a personal note, last question. As you can see, I'm an Eagle Scout, so it means a lot to me that, you were involved in Scouts and stuff like that. So some of our readers may not know that you did earn the rank of Eagle Scout in 1989, right before aging out at 18 years old. So you also received the National Eagle Scout Association's Outstanding Eagle Scout Award in 2011. So how does the Scout Oath and the Scout Law play a role in your everyday life after scouting?
It's hard to forget the things that you learn as a scout. The age at which you learn them, the things that you do while you're doing them, the things that you are doing while you're learning those things, help you remember them. help you remember that a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. It's good to review those from time to time. Scouting puts you on a path, a path that reminds you that there's more to being a good citizen than just voting. There's more to being a good citizen than just caring about what happens in your community. That there are things you can do to help make things better in the world. And I'll always be grateful for my scouting experience for that reason.
Senator Lee, thank you very much. And that's the interview for today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Very nice to meet you.
Yep.
nice to meet
And is it okay if David asks you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and then we'll carry next meeting.
I'm
How
sorry,
about in
Do you want me to
between
get you in there
classes?
too, after?
We'll get the boys and then you can grab me.
Yes. Yes.
You know.
So what laws, how can you make laws for Utah and how are they working out for Utah?
Well, as a U.S. senator, I
You guys
don't.
want to stand over here while I answer your questions?
Yeah.
And start getting the picture.
Stand over there.
What time is the?
Doug?
Yeah.
You'll be here a little bit.
Stand over there right now.
I gotta hurry because I have to make another call.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Stand over,
the answer to your
David.
question is that I don't make laws for Utah. I make laws for the country because I'm a U.S. senator. We make
Okay,
laws
David,
for
look
the
at
country.
me.
But in doing that, I try to make laws that will, in addition to helping everyone else, I want to make sure that they help Utah and that they don't hurt Utah. Some of the laws we make affect Utah more directly than others. And, you know, sometimes we will pass a law
Okay.
that will determine how we use certain lands that are owned by the federal government of Utah. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Very
much.
nice to meet
It's
you.
an honor.
Honor's mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.